Hey guys, and welcome back to episode 15 of Split Decision. It has been a little while, and we have decided then this week we're going to do an amazing thing where we look back on 2023 and it's almost like awards, but we're not giving awards. We're just going to say the thing we liked. Isn't that right, Mitch?
That's exactly it, Tom. We don't like to give out rewards, give out props and respect. Might even
No,
have to print off something then to get a medal commissioned. We ain't doing all that. So we'll just talk a little
just
bit
like
about the
Polaris.
reminisce. Oh, okay. All right. Well, there's no need for that.
A
Make a
piece of
tiny
paper
trophy.
trophy. Apex are gonna cherish that
But
until
it can't be an A4. That's too big. It's got to be
yeah.
A8, I'm thinking, roughly.
A8. I don't even know how small that would be. That'd be like one of those mini notepads. Either
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
we have got plenty of different things that we're going to go through, just like some of our favorite stuff throughout the year, the favorite matches that we casted, favorite matches we watched, and some of the events and players who we think deserve some plaudits. So, well, where can we start? I would say, Mitch, what was I want to know. Actually, you know what? Going with a big one. What was your
Sure.
favorite play of the entire year? Not one that like I've separated ones we casted because I do feel like we have a little bit of bias to the ones
Yes,
that we watched live. What was your
naturally.
favorite to sort of see?
Yeah, obviously the ones that stick with us will be the ones that we cast, and or the ones that are easier to recall, right?
Yeah.
Funnily enough, both, whether we're talking about the ones we cast or the ones overall, both of them were in the ones that I recalled, I guess maybe just the most recent event and so on. Both of them were EDG versus Giants, and two different games,
Okay.
obviously at the same event. The first time they played was my favorite play, actually, overall, and it was Fatinho up against EDG in heaven on split. And he gets this 4K that was just sensational, man. It's like he takes the first guy on the left, 90-degree flick to the right, 90-degree flick to the left, 90-degree flick to the right. Every single one of them hit. And I just remember going crazy on that because there's so much narrative going behind that event and behind this year for Fatinho, for him to get to prove himself the prince when all the others, the grandfather and the father of Valorant within the Spanish scene had already fallen, and he's looking to make a name for himself up there. And you know, the crown is very much up for grabs in the Spanish community more than ever. So seeing him pop off, I think it meant a lot. But the play itself was
Hmm.
really, really clean too, just showing his masterful control over the Vandal. Loved it.
Okay. See now, mine was actually also versus EDG.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't Giants. I do think for the ones we casted, the one versus Giants was definitely up there.
Yeah.
But for me, it was something versus EDG. It was that the play on Pearl on the B site where he finishes with an updraft dash shorty to just kill the last guy,
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
just like,
Oh, yeah.
"You're just a dickhead." Like I just remember watching that live. I'm like, "You are a prick." The fact that the fact that you like basically just wrecked their whole team. Round was already over, and then he was just like, I'm gonna embarrass you. Like I'm gonna end your career just before everyone's eyes. I was like, that play for me was just utterly ridiculous. And there's a few others like I guess Demon One managing to get an ace on a Brimstone doesn't happen too often, but that was the one where I was like, okay, that was just unbelievable. And the fact you even had the gall to do something like that is just disrespectful. I'm curious then, so of the ones that we casted, what was your
Uh-huh.
favorite?
Well, mine it was one that, I very much remember thinking the round was over. I remember
You
like
said it.
yeah, obviously we tend to be in a position a lot of the time where we're like we're flexing the play by play and the color. And
Yeah.
I remember doing the play by play for the round. I remember being like, oh cool, I'll grab a water. This one's 1vx, it's done. And Can just comes out with this insane, it was 12-6 on split to end the game. And he got I can't remember what it was, a 1vx,
It was
1v3,
1v2, but they
1v2.
were
Okay.
both like
Both
I
in
think they were
heaven.
it might have been 3 actually if you include the first guy he kills on site.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I think
only
it might have
remember
been
the
1v3.
last 2. The rest is a
It's
blur.
where he's diffusing,
Like
right? He just pops up, bam, bam,
yeah.
those headshots. It's just he sees a pixel in the head. Oh man.
So that's my second favorite, I think.
Okay.
Because I was stuck between 2, and it's not in terms of an overall play like a clutch or anything. It's not like the best, but it's the one I enjoyed the most, and it was Jorgamo in Hookah where he blast packs the boombot into a Viper's pit and then wall bangs one of the players from foot and that like
That's
they
ridiculous.
then close out the game. I was just like, I just remember sitting there watching that, like the fact that you've blast packed the boombot into a Viper's pit is already impressive. Like that's already not that easy to do. But then to warbang kill the player who is in the pit is just ridiculous. Like it was just off that tiny little bit of information he got for himself. But I was like, I love Ray's. I love Ray's tech.
Mhm.
And just someone using it to that degree, I was like, that was so
Oh,
cool. Because
man.
that
I wish I'd written
go on.
down one of my other plays then. NRG Jing versus NRG 2v4, like 15 seconds left, and NRG are coming. I think it was NRG. I'm pretty sure they were coming out of hookah, and so Jing's on the defensive side, and he comes around, blast packs towards the site, lobs a nade in, kills the spike, so it's in the open. Lobs a nade on top of the spike, waits a second, pops his ult, uses that, and just keeps like keeping them back. They can't get out of hookah. They know there's util. They know there's an ult. And then they lose the round off time. It was just insane. It's the same thing where it was just really good raise utility, and it's so rare because I remember thinking about it even at the time, just being like that. That is such masterful usage of raise utility that you just do not get to see that from most players. I feel like.
Yeah, he's someone who I think that's going to be one of those bars that's going to get increasingly higher. Is just that with Jing not playing,
Yeah.
people remembering Jing will put him higher and higher on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's like this year he was the best raise. I don't think there's any argument about that. I think Jorgamo when he played it was very very good.
Hmm.
I think you could put other players in there like Aspas has got a pretty good raise.
Sure.
Durka's got a pretty good raise. Alpha when he plays it. But Jing is like the pinnacle of raise unless you're like a hardcore Bunny fan. And so like for him to now just go, right, see you later, I'm off for 2 years.
Yeah.
This year coming up, someone could play as good as Jing and no one will ever give them, they'll never give it to them. They'll be like, yeah, but Jing's better than it.
Almost. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what
Close.
they do. It's like, yeah, he's very good, but Jing, no.
He's almost
And that
Jing.
could happen, like, if Jing, like, say Jing comes back in a couple of years,
Mhm.
then maybe someone would be able to compete with him because it'll be direct. But if he goes, nah, actually, I'm going to stream, or nah, I've got a job, like, whatever he ends up doing, it would just be there for, there'll be some hardcore fans like, yeah, he may have dropped 70 kills in one map, but, like, Jing, no. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it'll just be absurd.
Should do it to
So I
preserve
think
the
that's-
legacy. Just never come back.
do you know what? That is a great sort of segue. So we've had our favorite plays.
Okay.
Who would you say is the best duelist?
The best duelist. Okay, so I have my little list. I wrote out a few of who I wanted to give the props to, and I think for duelist, it's maybe I'd say this is the year where there's more debate, or certainly the debate can be had. I still think I'm going to go with
Okay.
Turka though. I think that the reason, and you'll see
Interesting.
as we go through different players, you'll see that there's a little bit of a trend to it. I think Fnatic are still the best team in the world in my mind because they have just, if not the best players, I think most people could get behind that they have top 3 in almost every role. Like you can put one of their
Yeah, I
you can
can see
put
that.
any of their players into a category where they're top 3, which is a very very rare thing to have. So yeah, I think
Well,
I
Bosa
think
was
Turka
in
still
2
got
at
it.
EMEA. He was the best. He was in EMEA. He was given best controller and best IGL.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like at that point, what are you supposed to do? And that's
Yeah.
I would argue the other guys on the team. I think maybe Leo is one of the players who hasn't gotten the props this year, and that like I still think
don't
everybody
know about
knows he's
that.
very good, but I still think that out of the rest of the squad, I feel like he's underappreciated in comparison. That makes sense.
I don't. I think last year, like
Mhm.
2022, I'd give it to you. I think this year now people are just like, there's a lot of Leo fanboys, especially with like his ability to play initiator, shock darts, flex a
Yeah.
little bit. I don't know. I think he's rated fairly at this point.
Fair.
I'd say for me, the one player who I'd actually maybe say wasn't in their category of the year was Durka, and I know that might sound
Okay.
weird, but I just think there was out and out players who I'd have put above him.
Mm.
And it's not because
The
like,
demon?
yeah, he's definitely up there. It's just the team is so good, he doesn't need to carry as maybe some of the other players do. So I've got Jing up there. I
Sure.
think Jing this year was
Sure.
just fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I think him and something as like a combo is unfair. And I don't that's the one thing that might be better about Jing like taking a couple of years off is just that they can't just get to the point where they're fucking everyone.
Yeah.
I think Demon One has to be in the argument. Like the guy,
Hmm.
in terms of like when EG were at their best, he was on the team. So it's like for the first event, he wasn't playing. So
Hmm.
it's like you can't really make those comparisons about like their whole year. And then you look at him when he managed to just about make it to like Masters and when he managed to make it to the obviously champions, he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I'd say Aspas still. Like I still think Aspas has to be in that argument. Like the guy could just take over matches and I like I will say this will lead nicely onto another category.
Hmm.
If this year Sadak makes another like top 5 team, he's the best IGO in the world. Because at this point he lost Sassy and Pancada this year, still competed, like first event, got to the final of lock-in.
Hmm.
Obviously the year before, champions. If he does it now that he's lost Aspas, he's the best IGL. Like, don't get me wrong, Boast is incredible, but if he manages to get close this year after losing basically his whole champions winning team and just having a couple of himself and less,
Hmm.
dude's the GOAT. Like, I don't think it's arguable. So I'll lead into that now because I think like I you're a little bit more EMEA biased, so I knew that Durka was coming. I know that Boaster probably takes the biscuit this year,
Yeah.
but is there anyone else in your conversation for IGL of the year?
I mean, like, I, I genuinely, I want to say yes because I think there should always be a healthy conversation, but they can't consistently be winning international events. They can't be 2 out of 3 major events this year and not just be concretely the best. Like the guy at this point has been doing it for so long. This is where we should see this year, if anything, we should have seen him fall off. We should see teams figure him out, all that sort of stuff. But he finds a way
Yeah.
to keep it fresh and keep it new every single time, which add to that the entertainment value of Boaster. I mean, as a player, as a brand, the guy is insane. He's so lovely, such a sweet guy. Obviously, we had the pleasure of traveling around Japan with him as well, and I just I'm such a fanatic fanboy, man. I think to go back to the duelist conversation actually real quick is that I think it's almost undisputed that maybe even Demon One deserves it for being rookie as well. Like the fact that he
Yeah.
can come in as a rookie player and have that kind of performance is just hands down unreal. Like the kind of players he's reminding me of are either banned or most people think they should be banned. You know, like to have that sort of a debut is.
Oh, one of them's making a comeback.
Well, let's see.
Best player of 2024. We already know who that's going to be.
Let's see who strikes first. But I think this is somewhere that I like. I accept that I'm just biased as hell because in my heart,
Okay.
I know it's Durka and I know it's Boaster for IGL as well. I didn't pick Fnatic for every single role, by the way, Tom. I have got
I'm waiting
got
to see
some
which one you
depth in
did.
here. I've got some
Genuinely,
depth.
I'm curious because like I've got a few different categories and I'm trying to pick one that you might not have picked and I genuinely don't know. Okay, controller of the year. That one surely, like, I don't get me wrong, I love Boaster, but surely he's not your controller of the year.
So, Smoker, controller of the year.
Yeah.
Boast, no, I actually went with someone that you probably would have guessed as well. I think I'm just biased. I don't
Marco?
even know that's EMEA. I went for Mind Freak, man. He's got the results there.
Okay, yeah, I
Got
had
the
him.
deep
I had him
runs.
and Marco.
And just a remarkable player. I've long been a fan of Mind Freak. I think since I did my first Telestrator on that man, and he blew my mind. I've been in love with him. So
I still think you speak of underrated people. I still think he's a bit underrated
100%.
because I think like the rest of his
100%.
team is so cracked. Same with Devi as well. It's like
Mhm.
I love watching Devi play. Like he's so enjoyable to see on the initiator, and same for Mind Freak on the controller. But then you just have like Jing, Forsaken, something just running around like fucking maniacs.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, all right, yeah, I'm probably am
There's-
gonna focus on those guys a little bit more.
There's absolutely no game you're going to come out of where a guy is just blast packed his way through 6 flashes, 5 smokes, caught you with a shorty, spun around, no scoped your teammate across the map with an operator, and went, "Geez, those smokes were
Yeah, that was
really
a really
well
cool smoke
timed.
that you put down.
Yeah, that was awesome. I really love that." No, you're obviously going to be thinking about Jing, whether you're the player on the other side or a fan in the crowd. That's what draws your eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really do think that there's there's not a lot that you could do. And to be honest, actually, no, I know when I became a big fan of Mind Freak, it was I liked him from the telestrators and stuff, and I had a conversation with some of the people behind the scenes, and it was when I heard how, he has just been such a pivotal member of the team from day one, and then every time they went to make a change, they were always just like, looking at the numbers and all this, people would tell you Mind Freak, but he's just providing too much value to ever make that change.
Yeah.
And they have a kind of one roster
that
move at a
chaos
time.
wouldn't work without
Exactly.
something in the background.
Something to control it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I will always put Marco in this conversation because I still think for me, he's the controller that can most take over a game. Like,
Sure.
you put him as a site anchor on an Astra and Omen, and I still believe that he'll hold that site versus an entire team.
That's
And
fair.
I will say, like, that's one of the things that we're going to do a whole podcast at the beginning of next year about, like, first look at, like, the new teams and changes in teams. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with DRX because I was gobsmacked to see that they removed 2 players just because I didn't know that there could be 2 players they'd replace. I did also see that T1 let go of King, though, so maybe we'll have something more to talk about there because I'm kind of hopeful that King makes his return. That would be a very cool storyline. But yeah, Marco, for me, I still don't see anyone that, like, surpasses him. I'd
Sure.
like maybe they match up on a day-to-day basis, but I just don't see anyone better in that role. I feel like this one, I already know who you're going to say, but I'll say Sentinel anyway.
Sentinel.
Hmm.
It's a tough one. It's a really, really tough one. I feel like my EMEA bias leans towards. I might even.
I don't even think if you say Alpha, that's not EMEA bias. I think he's in the argument for best player of the whole year. So I don't. I don't think that's bias.
I'm trying to push myself to not pick Fnatic in everything. And
Yeah.
I've been
For me, it's him or less.
I had Mind Freak,
still.
so I think I did well, and I've never been biased towards South Americans. So, yeah, I think I'd go with Alpha. I actually I also think from a growth perspective, his hair growth's been unreal.
He's pretty tall.
He looks unreal. He's whipped himself into shape now. I have to say, he's always been a good looking guy, but now he's rocking it. I like it. Good year for Alpha. Stonks going up.
Sure. He's also one of my favorite people to bump into at events.
100%.
Because he just
100%.
like even when he's like he's jet lagged or he's not having a great time, he just exudes energy, but also
Positivity.
it's just entertaining. Like he'll just be like, we saw him in Japan and he was just like, bro, I've been here a week and I'm still jet lagged. I'm only coming over to you because you're by the Red Bull fridge. just like he was like, I've tried all the flavors. This one's great. It's just nice. And then we told him that someone liked the
grape.
The grape one. He was like, disgusting. And then just like, right, I'm gonna go practice. He was like, I've barely slept at all. Then in the game he drops 40.
So
and you're just like, yeah, cool.
That's the thing. I'll
nice
say.
one.
On 2 things. One, Red Bull are gonna love us dissing the grape, but but we got to be honest, man.
The lychee one's fucking god tier in Japan.
It is.
I want to import it. It like please
Lychee slaps.
Red Bull. If for some reason you're watching this, in which case, hello. Secondly, please
grape.
bring the lychee one to Europe / the UK because it's fucking. I would drink that daily, which might not be the best for my stomach, but I'll enjoy it.
And you know what?
lot.
We'll do a swap. You guys take the grape. We'll, as much as we love it.
You can keep the grape. That could be your exclusive flavor.
As much as we absolutely love it, let's just do, you guys give us the lychee, you take the grape. It's an exchange, and I think everyone wins.
It's exchange, even though they already have both.
Yeah, it's a big win for them. That's all they need to know, Tom.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It was
as long as
it
they
was
don't
divisive.
take the pear one. The new pear one's banging as well.
Haven't had
the
it yet.
Winter one.
I'm gonna try it out. I mean, the yellow tropical it's a go-to. It works every time.
Fair. We need to stop just doing free promo for Red Bull.
And they brought us to Japan, Tom. Let's do a bit more. And my favorite thing with ice on it. It's hold on, I gotta pick Chewie.
They also brought us to Turkey.
They did, and as well. That was the actually perfect segue into what I was going to say. The fact is, the Turkish players in general, they tend to be so kind. It's the same for like CNED, for Suchny, for all the boys. Whenever you see them around, at a captain, like I should name every single one because they're all so kind, and I love running into them at events, whether it's in Turkey, whether it's abroad. You're guaranteed the second you lock eyes, they're going to come over, they're going to have a chat, ask how you are, ask how your travel was.
Lock eyes. What were you
lock
doing?
eyes
Just
across
staring
Europe.
at them.
Like I said, Alpha's looking good
Look
these
back.
days, man. I don't know.
Look back at me.
When the,
Oh, hey! I've just looked at you at the same time.
after 15 minutes of staring at them, when they eventually look over, it works
You're like
out.
twitching, just like.
It's like a staring contest, but I'm the only one playing.
Mitch was like weirdly winking at me. I'm not sure what's going on.
I'll be back 1 sec. I brought a dog with me. He's a little upset because his mommy's gone.
Wonderful.
So, you all right, bud? You looking around? What's in here? What's in here?
All right, Mitch.
All right.
Next
What's next?
question. Best. Well, what do we go for? I'm gonna say best initiator. Best initiator of 2023.
Best initiator I had down as Leo. Again, no surprise.
No way.
As you said. Yeah, he's a player that I think can always get more props. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. See, the thing is, I separated best initiator and best support because for me, my best support wasn't my best initiator. If that makes it makes
Okay.
sense, because I think Leo is the best initiator in terms of what
Sure.
he can do. I think he is a fantastic support player. The like darts he'll use to set people up are amazing.
Mhm.
But for me, the best support player was Com. I think Com just
Mhm.
like a lot of the setup stuff he had for his team was just fucking unbelievable. And it's the same way with best IGL. I know we didn't talk much about Boostio. I don't know if he's the best IGL or if they have the best coach.
Sure.
Because
right.
whoever is doing a lot of that setup stuff and that prep stuff into all of the ideas that they had, like even at Lock-In, they had some really cool ideas. Whoever's doing that is probably the best at what they do. And
Yeah.
for best coach, for me, that's actually, I didn't actually put this on the list. That might be the most difficult one
It's Potter.
because but you say that. I'm looking at Potter, Mini, or Alex.
I think Potter.
Because I think Potter has taken a team from a spot that looked impossible to a spot that was amazing. I think that's impressive. I think Mini has managed some incredible players to build a team that did something that no one else managed to do ever before. And
Mhm.
Alex is working in a mental asylum trying to get all of those players together to win matches in the most batshit crazy way ever.
Mhm.
And the only problem he has is smacking tables. Like that for
Fair.
me is like, that's amazing.
Speaks French too.
Because if I watched half the shit that my players did as him,
Mhm.
I'd somehow be more bold. Like I don't know how he does that. And the only thing is like, oh, he smacks a table every once in a while. Like, I'm surprised he hasn't just like burnt down the building or something. Like, I can't do this anymore. But then also you see the way, if you watch any of the vlogs and stuff from PaperX,
Mhm.
he's like personally managing all of these players as well. Like
Yeah.
checking that they're okay as people, not just as players. So that one is, I agree with you in the fact that like off accomplishments and off watching EG,
Mhm.
Potter should take the biscuit. But I do think that like both Mini and Alex would probably win it any other year, which is just rough.
Yeah. I was the same as you, by the way, for support as well, was Calm.
Yeah.
Having it separated out. I think, the kid's just been unbelievable. I find myself watching, I think every single game I've seen Calm play, every map, I would say, I come out of it with one of those like Leo moments from Once Upon a Time in
Yeah.
Hollywood. They're just, whoa. There's always something to
It's
point at on the
almost
screen.
like I need to learn how he did that because that's
Exactly.
really cool. And it's just like you can tell that's someone who has clearly put in an insane amount of work, and also, like his clutches added an extra level that wasn't even really needed, but
Mhm.
he had so much impact for that team throughout the year. So I think he definitely has to be up there. I also put in best flex, which best flex is a difficult one for me because I don't know where I want to put like some of the players. I've put like, so Ethan is someone I know needs a category, but it's so difficult to place him because like I remember
Mhm.
I put him as like a flex player before, and a lot of people pointed out is like he doesn't flex that much. He just kind of flexes throughout the year in kind of weirder ways, like him playing a Yoru every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the time he's still playing like more classic style initiators, and he's fantastic at it. So he could easily go in with Leo, like, cause like he's probably second best initiator, which is funny because again, with Com being in there, maybe he goes third. But I just feel like there needs to be plaudits given to Ethan and that's why, well, he is in one of my categories later on. But yeah, I'm curious for Flex because I have gone Chronicle because but
Okay.
it's
Reasonable.
it's
I went for
it's
Jogamo.
difficult.
I feel like Jog.
I've just thought of another one.
Who's
Damn
that?
it, it's too difficult.
Who would you thought of someone instead of Chronicle or an additional player?
An additional player.
Okay.
Forsaken.
Okay, fair enough.
Because Forsaken is like he probably flexed more than anyone else because he also had to play a tournament as duelist as well. Like
I'm
he's been playing so many different roles. Like you even go back to like the tournaments they've been playing recently. He's been doing a lot, but like Forsaken was just like, I'm gonna fill in all the gaps. Like you look at their grand final. He played Sky, Harbor, Yoru, and Astra as in a grand final of champions. Like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just unhinged. I'm happy with where we've gotten to in Valorant these days because, you know, we all remember those days where it was just everybody had an agent pool. Wasn't really the conversation. It was what agent or two do you play?
Yeah.
And now we're in a much healthier position where I think the word flex means a lot less every year because a lot more players are pushing into different roles for different maps. Like,
Yeah.
you know, in the original days, if you saw somebody playing, even going from one map as a controller to another as an initiator, and then as a duelist, your mind would be blown. You know, everybody would be talking about that one player who did that, and now it's just kind of an expected thing for a lot of these guys to do. So, I think we've got some really good progression. I'm curious to see when we're going to end up with actual like agent to agent bans. I think that's like the next step in Valorant. It's probably like a year away
I still
too.
think it needs a little while. Yeah, because
6 agents a year though. It's not that long.
It depends the way they do it because it's like if you get like one ban a match, I still feel like for example, if you're playing Breeze,
per map, surely.
and you ban Viper,
Yes.
it's just fucked. So I think there needs to be more agents that you can go like, okay, I have a few comps on this that if you just ban one, because I remember there was wasn't one of the Spanish events doing that, and it just ended up kind of shit because either teams would just ban an agent they never had any plans of using, and thus the other team didn't, or they just banned something like so ridiculous that you're just like, oh, this is now just a shit game of Valorant. Like I'm just watching. Oh no, crap! They've got no sentinels, or oh, they've got no smokes. It's just like great. I don't want to watch this anymore.
It's not even about the bans. It's more so about like agent select being more just being more, so picking them two, you know, team A picks 2 agents, team B picks 2 agents, and you can see what the opponent's locking, stuff like that. So if you've got a surprise pick, leave it till the end and all this sort of stuff. Like I think there's really interesting depth to it in League. Again, you've got 140 or 50 or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if we need it yet. I guess that's the way I would look at it. Is like I still feel like when new agents come in, people are pushing the boat out enough to use them that I don't think we need to force people not to use things. Where like,
oh yeah, it's not about forcing them not to.
We probably will get to a point.
You don't even have to ban.
But that's what bans will bring. Is
doesn't
forcing people to not.
That's what I'm saying
use
though.
This agent.
You don't need to have a ban in there. It can be, for example, just having it as cascading picks where you've got a bit more insight into what your opponent's choosing. Like it doesn't have to be an agent ban.
But I guess the thing is that's also then the strategy of it outside of the game now where you don't know that. I think that almost makes it like a game of chicken because you go in going you're blind.
Sure.
And then you have to gamble. So I think that gives and takes away. Like I get what you're saying, but I kind of just like it how it is.
Yeah,
and then I'm sure at a point they'll probably change that. Now, the one thing we didn't talk about with the players is who do you think was the best, just overall? Who was the best player this year?
The best player. See, it's a very open category. In what aspect? I think the player that, not that he was never on my radar, but certainly not anywhere near the extent that he has been this year. I think the player's biggest growth, breakout year, let's say. Obviously,
but there's also most improved player. I've put that as
you
a
have that
category
somewhere.
As well. Yeah, that is its own category. So
Did he
I'm asking you
improve?
who is the best? Who if you had unlimited money to buy one player straight off, who you going for from this year based on performance?
From this year based on performance? See, it's hard because the easy answer is Demon One, right? Someone who's just going to deliver. But we've also seen that be a very short-sighted way to look at things. Like, is Demon One going to be
Mm.
this at the same level in 2 years, or is someone who, like, for example,
That's not what
Boaster?
I'm asking you who's the best.
Like,
Who's the
you
best?
pick up someone like Boaster, but are you going to say Boaster's the best player? I don't know. That's a pretty tough one to argue because best IGL, sure, but
This man's
the
waffling through while
best.
he's trying to work
The
out in his
best.
head.
I have no idea. That's such a broad category. I guess
Yeah?
I guess I go somewhere. I guess I just say Demon One. Demon One is the best player
Okay.
of the year in my opinion.
See, for me, it's Alpha. Yeah, I
Okay.
think like this year, like he had so many mega high impact rounds. He was so reliable in terms of stats and numbers,
Mhm.
and I think that he was the difference between them winning 2 events and not. Like, you think of the clutches back at lock-in and stuff like that. Like, that guy was unreal. And yeah, sure, he's still young, but
Mhm.
I just think he's such a positive outlet as well when you look at that team. I think Althea for me. I think yeah, it was between him and probably Demon One. I also think you could try and throw a couple of other Fnatic players in there. Like I think Leo had a very good year. I think Chronicle did as well. But for me, it's Alpha. I think. But yeah, between the two of them, I don't think anybody's going to be too upset. And you know what? I mentioned it already. Let's go most improved team first. Who do you think was the most improved
Same
team?
answer
Like I think
actually. Uh
EG's probably like an obvious one.
sure. Sure. Yeah. You know, maybe keeping it on an EMEA site for me. I think Foot uh
Yeah, I had Foot as well.
by far the most improved team. They've always been good. I've always liked them, but this year was just they could have won an international event on the form they were on at times, and that's not somewhere I had them in my mind before, even as a huge fan. Um, and you know, as I said,
But
my player comes from
based
that
off
team too.
last year,
We'll talk
they
about that.
scraped through the VLR finals. So
Hmm.
to have them getting like top 8, that would be like predicting Gentlemates to get top 8 this year. No one's
Yeah,
doing that. Like, don't
and,
get me wrong. I like the team, but then no one's predicting Gentlemates to get top 8 at Champions.
and it's like looking at 2020 crew. Sometimes top 8 doesn't mean shit. Right? Sometimes you just got a lucky
Yeah.
run in a tournament. You got to prove it later on, and crew did every single time. But much to my chagrin. But the thing about these guys is that they looked pound for pound like they could take a title this year, and that is just such an insane improvement on how we started things um for this squad last year. So yeah, by far for me, that's the most improved team. Although I can't see EG as an argument. Definitely, I mean,
Yeah.
I think you
They
wouldn't
went
be
from
wrong.
bombing out of lock-in to winning champions. And they improved quite a
Not
bit.
bad, not bad.
But they also got Demon One. That move from Potter angered so many people, but clearly one of the best moves ever. Most improved player, then. I'm curious where you go with that one.
Mine was actually Mr. Fallen, because I think this year
Okay.
was one of the biggest step ups I've seen from him. Like, the guy was always good, but he blew my mind so many times this year. Uh, you know, that game, the Foot versus Team Vitality. Last time we saw Vitality to qualify for Masters, and he pulls out this insane 4K, and it wasn't his only one. But again, that was somewhere they were what they started it out week 2, 13-4. They beat Vitality on Lotus, and they closed out the season for Vitality 13-6 on Lotus. The consistency was there too. But in every single one of the games for Foot, Mr. Fallen is someone that comes to the forefront of my mind, not just as someone that had the impact on the server, but that had the acknowledgement from casters, whether it was us, whether it was Pampock, whether it was anyone else. It was always Mr. Fallen drew your eye. You bring Dez in from Siege. Even he's seen it, first day on the campus. And then from a perspective of the analyst desk as well, from a perspective of the people at home on forums and everything, the guy was just taking names this year. I'm curious to see who
Yeah.
you went with.
I went with Ethan. That was
Okay.
where I put him. Because I think that you look back at him in like NRG back in 2022, and if you had told me that that guy would be, I would be considering that guy as one of, if not the best initiator in the entire world, and having so much impact, great in supportive roles, some of the best pot flashes I've ever seen in my life, and then also can throw out a Yoru and just play it like one of the best players I've ever seen. I think that he's gone from a player that I wasn't even necessarily sure would be in franchise to a player that is now in like the top 5 of all franchise players. So I think that like the guy, this was the expectation when he moved from CS to Valorant. He was one of the players that was like a top tier player moving. There weren't that many of like the at the time like a Mixwell, a Scream. There was people like him, and then a lot of people over in North America. And I'll be honest, up until this year, I was a bit disappointed. This year was where you saw that potential hit, and like the guy in this team especially was just so fucking good all the way through the year. So I'd give it to him. I do agree. Like I think you could argue it for most of the foot players. Like all of them have stepped up massively, but he took it from like what, going out in LCQ last year, playing for NRG, to winning champions this year. It's the glow up of a
He's
century.
also built a team that's so good that even when he's in a position where he can't be there to IGL, the squad can have their coach come in and still succeed, which again is credit.
Oh wait, fuck yeah.
Credit not just to Mr. Fallen, right, but to the entire support structure there, to the team themselves. Like you're saying, that's not something that you just command one player for. That's something that all of them need to be in there. And I think, man, get these guys a couple more months, which is what you're doing, right? Get a couple more months to cook it up. This is a squad I'm so excited for next year. MEA is back, baby.
Yeah.
We're back.
Okay, let's just talk about like some of our favorite things. So we're gonna go this year. What was your favorite team to watch per region? Well, we'll separate it, like, because I know that like if I just get you, just pick an EMEA team. So I want to hear some other teams that you enjoyed from other places. Who's your favorite? Oh, let's go EMEA first. Who's your favorite EMEA team to watch, and why was it Foot?
It was Foot. It was Foot.
No way.
I do have Foot down for that. You know, I
couldn't have imagined.
It was the same thing for me in terms of favorite player or favorite team to watch. I found they both were very much in the same wheelhouse. And for me, watching Foot, man, the pace that they can bring to the table is something else. I think this is a squad that's breaking stereotypes. Like the idea that, oh, a Turkish team, this is what a Turkish team is. You know, I certainly was the biggest subscriber to that idea for a long, long time, that it's a team that can come in with no, practically no structure, and they can just beat you down. Like they've got fists for days and they're ready to fight. But now we're starting to see that, in also to add, one of the things that we wouldn't hear in the conversation about a Turkish team was the word tactical. And anything like that, strategy, structure. Yeah. The word structure did not exist.
They used the Dragon Vandal to hit more headshots.
That's it. That's the strategy. That's all it comes down to. And this is a squad that I think the conversation has been so distinctly different around them after the first couple of weeks, after we saw them play. And to be able to shatter those glass ceilings and push up to a new level, be a top 8 team, be a team that made it to champions, be a team that could win a trophy. Could have won a trophy, could win a trophy next year, and no one will bat an eyelid anymore. That achievement on its own is insane. And like I say, it's the blending of this structure with the ability to just be a stereotypical Turkish team, to just say, oh, things aren't going well, or, oh, we're at that point in the strategy, gentlemen, where we just go. You just go fight, go win, and make the plays as individuals. They can do that. They can also play some of the most structured Valorant that we've seen out of a Turkish squad, out of an EMEA squad, I would say, for a while. So, or put themselves up there in the upper echelon. So
I think
my
you
favorite.
might be a bit surprised by mine.
Oh, okay.
It was Giants.
GFM.
But it was well, they're not in EMEA for starters, so that might be a little bit difficult.
You just wish they were.
They're barely in
so
Pacific.
Next year, Tom. 2024.
Oh yeah. Okay. We're not gonna get into that. No, it was Giants for the reason of like, it might sound harsh. Their games are always close because they fucked so many games. There was just games versus like Koi where I'm like, oh, they're gonna shit on this team, and then it was just unbelievably competitive and entertaining. So it's like I loved watching them play because their games are always entertaining to watch. Like you always had Nuclear doing some batshit crazy Viper. Like I'm gonna play Viper and I'm gonna walk out my own pit, headshot someone, and walk back in. It's like you're insane. Like that's mental. Cloud just like deciding for 1 week to play Gecko, looking like the best Gecko in EMEA, and being like, nah, I don't like
Done
it
now.
anymore. Like I just had fun watching that team, but they also had depth in structure.
Mhm.
Vitinho at any point could just be the best player in any server. Like I remember watching them versus NRG where he was just like, "Yeah, I've just decided I'm getting 35 kills today. Sorry, lads." And you couldn't predict. Like you couldn't predict. Like going into this season, I was like, I have a lot of faith in a lot of these players. I'm not sure about Vitinho. He was probably their best player all year.
Yep.
It was fun, and I really liked watching them play. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Giants. I think again, like the only reason I'm not saying someone like a Fnatic is because watching Fnatic play in EMEA was just like, oh, how hard are they gonna fuck this team?
Yeah.
Oh, they got 2 rounds. That's better than the one that the last team got. Like, that's not fun. Like, they were better than everyone.
Yeah. I mean,
Liquid were also good in EMEA as well, to be fair. Especially when they decided to just run like a fucking Reyna comp, or Nats playing Chamber that 1 week where it didn't matter. So that was cool too.
yeah, that was a fun year. I think in EMEA in particular, we were blessed with going into it. I wasn't sure, like, how we started it out with what Koi beating Navi.
Koi being Navi.
I didn't know what the hell we were in for this year, but I think we
They're
ended up at a
barely
very
winning
good
a
point.
game.
Yeah, yeah. They beat Navi, and then it was what, like the 7th week, and Navi had still only lost to Koi. It's like, what the fuck
Yep.
is going on? I have no idea.
I think in the end they only lost to Koi and Fnatic. I think that was it, right? I think they beat everyone else. It's just weird. Also, like Liquid started a bit slow. Vitality were up and down. It was fun. Okay, Pacific. I'm more doing this on who I found most fun to watch. It's not necessarily who's the best team because I feel like
Yeah, I think we have the same answer.
Patriots, Fnatic, like probably Loud for most of the year. But
well, I mean, I think we might have the same answer here because mine is however you want to dish it up. Jing, PaperX, just in general.
I put 2 because I kind of cheated a bit.
Okay, all right.
My other one is GE, and genuinely because I got so emotionally invested in watching that team play, and because Monyet and Barzi just like played out of their minds all year, I just had a lot of fun watching them.
Seeing
And were
Irish
they the best team?
representation, of course.
No. Yeah.
Big part to play in it.
What's his Liquipedia flag?
The internet, Tom.
Well, I forgot. Like,
internet lies.
I have forgotten Spin's real name, but if I remember correctly, it's like one of the most British names.
Nah, that's
Peter Bradford.
Colonizing. That's why that
Oh,
happened.
hello there. My name's Peter Bradford.
That's clearly a name that was changed during the colonization progress. Process is what I meant to say. I wouldn't read too much into it, Tom. At the end of the day, he's Irish at heart. My government acknowledges him, and that's all I need to know.
So
Ireland
does
on
mine.
top. Shit, that's true. That's true. Yours does also.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I had a lot of fun watching GE. I'm looking forward to seeing the new G as well. Like with Benkai. I also a big fan of Polvi, so
Yes.
I think that'll be interesting. And they didn't do badly at their first
Polvi
tournament.
is a kind of motherfucker who's in hospital getting operated on,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Sorry, hold on. You guys have an Ethernet connection, right? Can
Doctor, shut the fuck up. I'm Russian B.
And literally, he was playing in a hospital bed with a drip in, I think. And that's, I'll tell you, I had a bunch of operations as a kid, and I had to, I when I came to, I was trying to play my Game Boy. Let me tell you, it's not easy to move your fingers around when that shit's still in your hand.
Which was too physically weak to play a Game Boy.
No, it was because when you bend your fingers, little needles in your arm. It's
oh no, I understand. I
ripped it out.
I was just taking the piss out of you.
I ripped it out. The nurse was not happy. Yeah. Passed out from blood loss. It's fine, but at the end of the day, X-Men on the Game Boy Advance, it wasn't getting the better of me, and not that day.
Okay.
No, it wasn't getting the better of Polvi either.
All right. So yours was PaperX.
Yes.
I think the reasons I don't need that much explanation there. Obviously brought in something throughout the year, but even before that, you had the Forsaken Jing show.
Which is
Devi,
like fireworks.
Mind Freak always pulling off bullshit. And then before that, you still had the likes of Benkai in there as well. So it's like, it is one of the most entertaining teams.
One of the best co-casters I've ever had, let me say.
For sure. America's,
calm, EG. Simple choice.
just calm.
Just calm, actually. I just prefer.
So who's your favorite player to watch from America's? You're just like, it's not him.
It's not him, not Tens. Tens, love him.
Yeah, big fan
I
of
love the
Tens.
work Drew Sparks been doing out there with Tens. Drew, why isn't Tens better? Huh? Come on. Let's make it work.
Hey, they've done all right recently.
I want to see a trophy.
Mine's Loud. I love watching Loud play. I love watching Les play in particular, which again is a bit of a giveaway of where I'm going. But yeah, I think that they're such an enjoyable team. I think Aspas especially is still one of the, whether you rate him as the best duelist or not is irrelevant from the fact I think he's the most entertaining duelist, other than maybe Khan.
Sure.
Put them in the argument as well, but yeah, I think but we've also got players to watch. I think our America's ones are done. We've got Common, we've got Les. I want to know.
Mine's actually different in player to watch in NA because
even though you named him as the reason why you picked EG.
Yes, because the player. So I thought of it player to watch for next year, right? Is that?
No, that's not the question. That's another question.
Never mind. Then
the player from last year who you enjoyed.
Who I enjoyed watching. Then yes, I've given mine throughout.
Then it is Calm. Okay.
Yeah.
But to be honest, we could probably we could probably move on from this because I feel like we've kind of explained the reasons why we like the teams, and most of the time the players kind of match that. So we're gonna do two. I've got two questions for next year. So because we just did teams, let's do a player from each region you're excited to see next year.
Okay. You are all going to be shocked by these, let me tell you. Okay, are you ready? Are you sitting down?
Okay.
North America, my player to watch in VCT, right? Or well, let's say in Valorant, in North America next year. I believe you'll not be wasting your time if you're spending your time watching BCJ over with Happy as a coach.
I like how you had
VCT,
did you have to correct yourself from VCT because he's not in the VCT?
Yeah, I sort of thought to myself, do we consider Ascension and Tier 2? Yes, but is it VCT? No. So now, yeah, Valorant's probably a safer term, so you didn't make fun of me. But that happened anyways, so it hasn't gone well. But BCJ is my pick for obvious reasons. The guy's insane. I'm really happy to see him get back on the horse, be back leading a team. I think working with a CS legend like Happy, as well as and you really cannot undersell having Psycho, having that dynamic duo back in play, leading a team again. It's going to be serious. I think that's a definite winner for the Tier 2 scene next year in North America.
Mine is Oxy.
Okay.
I think after watching him on Cloud9, this kid is the truth. Like, he's so fucking good.
100%.
And I think that, like, it's going to be interesting to see him play week in, week out, because after speaking to a lot of different players, that's really tough. Like, I was speaking recently to Cruz about it, and he was like, that was one of the things, like, if we got anything wrong, we didn't have time to fix it. We had days to try and change things. So I'll be interested to see how that goes, but with their coaching staff, strong IGL, I'm really excited to see Oxy next year, because I think that, like, he's a very, very young player, but the potential off the charts. So yeah, especially after seeing him in Japan and how he was able to do some of that stuff, even if it's an unpracticed Fnatic, I think that guy is still going to be a maestro. But obviously, there's a lot of interesting sort of moves and players, and I think like another good example would be the new Sentinels roster as well, because like their roster looks really exciting, but more so just because of John QT, because coming in as an IGL, they win their first event. You've got to give the guy some props.
100%. Yeah, I think there's a lot of really exciting squads over there, and I guess the second one for that was Team, right? I don't know if you're going to stick with the same, but for me, it's again Team M80, the team I'm looking forward to the most.
No, mine's Leviathan, bro.
Oh, so you switched it to?
You mad?
Look,
Leviathan have signed. That's fast. Their team looks. I'm so excited to see that team play. Like, it's between them and Sen. Genuinely, I didn't think I'd say that, but after them beating Paperex, like, because that's the thing. People obviously Paperex were having fun. They had Jing in there, but like, beating Paperex is tough.
Mhm.
And so the fact that Zekken on Duelist, new IGL, I don't know if Zelsis is going to be playing in the main team, but he looked really good as well.
Mhm.
Sassy picking up, like, they look exciting, but Leviathan, like, that team plus Aspas should be illegal. Like, I can only assume it's going to be a God Squad, and yeah,
No,
I'm excited to see
I
it.
I
Tex
think
as
you're
well.
dead
They've added
wrong.
Tex as well.
Dead wrong, man. I mean, if you're looking at M80, sure, but if you're not going to say M80, really, Leviathan Sentinels, no. I'm most excited to see EG this year. I think they're going to look
Oh, really?
unreal. Just how could you possibly?
Yeah.
All these insane players, they just won a tournament. Must have so much money, Tom. After champs, whoa, skin money. Come on, they're going to make some crazy changes and be one of the best teams in the world. Wow, back-to-back champs titles.
Why would they make crazy changes?
Crazy upgrades to their facilities, to their
Upgrades.
support
Oh,
staff. They're gonna
okay.
have
Yeah.
offices on offices on offices, man, and there's gonna be Valorant on all the walls. I can't
Empty
wait.
ones.
Full of boxes.
Okay. Let's go Pacific player. Who's the Pacific player you're looking forward to seeing next year?
Pacific player. Well, it was on this one time. I don't have the same team both ways. So it's on GE. I said I'm most excited to see the return of Bankai. My, as I said, favorite.
I thought you were gonna pick an
duo.
EMEA player for a second. I was like, "There's no fucking shot you got
Just that biased.
Oh, okay. I'm all right with Benkai. I'm okay with that.
I think the walkouts alone make it worthwhile, even if the guy's forgotten how to hold a mouse, and I find it hard to believe that's the truth.
Yeah, I don't think so. He didn't do that first event though. Maybe he's relearning.
Could be.
No, he was at a wedding.
Ah, fair.
Or no, sorry. What was the official reason? His goldfish drowned, I think is what he said.
I see. An unfortunate case. You got to be
Did you
careful.
see
around
that
water.
video? He genuinely put out a video saying his goldfish drowned.
I didn't know. It doesn't surprise me.
Dickhead.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, mine is a little bit kind of obvious because I just interviewed the dude, but I'm really excited to see Xcurate play. Like, I think we saw him play a bit in the sort of recent tournament, and he looked really, really good for someone who literally just like transferred over from CS. He said that he played a bit of Valorant just for banter, but it was like challenges level.
Mhm.
He's like, yeah, I just play for a bit of fun with my mates because I want to see how we would do. I'm like, right, you played challenges, qualifiers and stuff. Like, yeah, oh, okay. And then supposedly from the interview, he said he only played, I think it was 2 maps, and then they signed him. He played 2 scrims, and they were like, yeah, you're sick. Get
Wow.
in the team.
Oh my god. Okay.
So I think he's going, like, the fact that he's the brother of Forsaken is already entertaining enough for me. The fact that we're going to get to see them, they've already played once, Forsaken won, but I think there's going to be a vengeance match. And he literally said in the interview, I want to beat my brother. Like, that's his goal. So that's exciting. And obviously Munyet to Paper-X as well. Like, I've been a fan of that guy the entirety of last year. He's a young talent who's managed to play controller, but he can also play an insane duelist. So I think that's going to be exciting. And that brings me on to my Pacific team, which is T1. I think that
T1. Okay.
yeah, because I'm not just going, like, I'll be honest. Obviously, I'm excited for Paper-X again. I'm always excited for Paper-X. DRX, I don't know. Like, DRX's moves make me a little bit worried for them. 7-man rosters I hate, but it seems like T1 signed 7 players and then have just decided to drop 2. Which is troll, but also, like, their team actually looks good. I think the Xcurate looked fantastic. Always have faith in Sire player. And then having, like, Rossi, Carpe, and Izu, I think could be great. Like, I think that could be, like, to be honest, with the way things are right now with DRX, they could be top 2. So, obviously, you got New Bleed and a few other teams that could compete, but I think they're going to be up there next year.
Well, I actually went, yeah, I'm a little bit less of a fucking traitor and a rat. So I went with Zeta Division, actually, as my team to watch. I think seeing them succeed in Red Bull Homeground to the extent they did, obviously they beat C9. They looked really good in their other matches as well, C9 and Fnatic. I think this is somewhere that, you know, also worth mentioning, they're playing with younger players there as well, who's had so much potential. I think this is somewhere that Zeta could end up having that breakout year. You know, are they going to be the best in Pacific? Maybe. Top 3 though, it seems feasible to me at
Uh,
the
so,
moment.
maybe is optimistic. I
Maybe.
don't think they'll beat Paper Rex.
Well,
I would say
well, I like to
I
believe, Tom. I have faith.
yeah. I really enjoyed. I think Hero especially
Yeah.
good pickup. Good pickup. But yeah, as you said, like some of the youngsters, Uran as well was really good in that tournament. So I can see. That's the thing. I think that with DRX making changes, they're definitely more vulnerable right now. But
Mhm.
it's like the Buzz, Marco, Stacks, cores still just going to be really fucking tough to break down. I was also a bit disappointed with how Gen G performed initially, but that's another thing altogether.
Mhm.
EMEA, this is the one where Mitch should shine. Player, who's your player to watch going into EMEA
I
2024?
have to say, Tom, this was a tough one. It took a lot of consideration.
As
I
you can
spent the
say,
last
Cena,
24 hours watching
Mr.
VODs back,
Fallen.
checking every single player, figuring out who I could possibly put faith in. And after
Oh, it's
considering
gonna be Enzo.
every
Oh, for
single
fuck's
player,
sake.
I have chosen Enzo, one of the most convincingly, I would say, one of the players challenging for for IGL of the year next year. I'm not saying he's going to get it. I'm just saying that if someone was to get it, it
Well,
would
the guy who
probably
failed
be
to win
him.
Ascension.
The guy who made it one a world record run in Ascension, Tom. It had never been done before.
World record? What are you
It
talking
had never
about?
been done before, Tom, and he did it. So, I
What, to
think you need
win
to remember
basically every
that.
game and then lose?
Yep. And I tell you, in all of the ascensions we've seen in the past, it had never been seen. So he set a record, and I think that's really beyond getting into VCT. I think that's what Apex were looking to do. Set records. So goal number one
Okay, so
achieved, and that's all that matters.
what is when you say like he's the player to watch? What specifically is he going to achieve next year that you like
I mean, to be honest, I would just watch him in general, Tom.
outside of game? Okay, nice, right,
Showering. Sorry.
cool.
Can't leave that in, Zelf. You gotta beep that one
Yeah,
out.
he's leaving it
Oh
in.
no. Oh no. Yeah, no, I think, well, what specifically? I mean, he's gonna win champions. What the fuck are you talking about? Winning every single event, lifting the trophies, the press interviews afterwards. I think there's a million reasons to watch Enzo next year. And I haven't even scratched the surface on them here.
By any chance, just so that we're not wasting time, is your team to watch Liquid?
It actually, surprisingly enough, Tom, it is. It is Liquid this
Oh,
year.
okay,
Yeah, again, a
right.
lot of thought went into
Fuck's
that,
sake.
but
No, it didn't.
I
I would say no
I
thought
u-
went into this at
I
all.
used my background in mathematics to try and find an objective answer, and I think I've reached it here. Don't ask me to show my workings.
Right. Yeah, because they don't exist. Okay. Well, my player to watch is going to be Martine, just because
Sure.
like a lot of the time I go into these sort of events and stuff, and I know what to expect from people. But with him, I genuinely don't know. Like he's come in, played that sort of show match versus Heretics, and seems like he's just absolutely pounded them playing on the Yoru. So that's already a bit of a statement that your first match, like this is the thing, right? I'm a huge fan of Tomasi as well. I think KC have got a really exciting looking team. If you're good enough that they decide to put Tomasi on a Viper, I'm excited.
Hmm.
Like there has to be something there. Enger's your coach as well. I think he's the perfect person to bring up young talent. He literally did it with the Gambit players,
Hmm.
and look how all of them have turned out. So I think the potential of someone like him has got to be off the charts. They're not my team to watch though, because I think that realistically, mid table should be expectations. Like
Yeah.
maybe a fifth, a sixth. I would say that I think they're looking to they've said they're like top four in the Magnum interview, which I think will be interesting to see how that comes out overall.
Hmm.
For me, the team to watch Vitality. Like I'm
Yes.
I'm really excited for Vitality. I think safe going into a team that might give them a little bit more freedom. Very exciting. I think Kicks and Runner, especially, are two players that I have very high hopes for. Kicks from what I've seen, and from Runner, every time someone talks about Runner, they're like, "This kid's ridiculous. Like you just can't out aim him."
Mhm.
So, and then you've got the backbone of someone like Destrian and Sender, who I think again, Destrian for me still an incredibly underrated support player. So I think he's going to be perfect for setting them all up. I think they could make a run. Like, do I think they'll beat Fnatic? No. Do I think that they'll beat a Na'Vi? Probably not, but I think it could be close. But I think top 3 is viable, because
Mhm.
I don't know. I think that Liquid is the other that I'd try and put up there, but I'm waiting to see, because ultimately, you've taken a team that looked good structurally, added in maybe a little bit more firepower. Does that mean they're gonna be enough to challenge for the top? I don't know, but I think Vitality will be very fun to watch, so I guess they're my team to look at going into next year.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to look at the EMEA landscape right now and see that even including your coaching staff, including your analysts, well, let me put it this way because a lot of teams have more of a deep analyst pool than they can show on the front page. So to say, with your players, your coach, assistant coach, and analyst, you have one
Mm.
Spanish player, one Spanish person, just Vitinho in this whole in all of the MEA right now, which is absurd, really, to imagine. I wonder if the pressure of that will get to him because I was thinking about the other squads in here and like, you know,
Wasn't last year, it was only 2, right, though? Or are you
well,
including
with
coaching
analysts and
staff?
coaches like Goked and
Okay.
stuff like that, there was more. It's just because we have what, three big Spanish organizations, and uh we've tried all uh different iterations of single nationality teams that just don't seem to work, except for Turkish. I don't know what. Well, Gentlemates now, I suppose, are making an argument for it. Certainly a better argument than the previous full French squad. But the other than that,
True.
other than that, no one's had success with it except the Turks. I don't know what it is, but they can get it done.
Mm.
Shout out Foot.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I'll be interested to see how BBL do next year as well, because like,
Mm,
I've heard a lot of people saying that, like, they seem to have improved quite a bit, but,
okay.
like, from the outside, they haven't made, like, the craziest of changes. They also have quite a lot of players still listed on their roster that I assume some of them are gonna go, so
Mhm.
I'm intrigued to see how they come out, because right now I do feel like they're towards the bottom end. And I also think that, like, although initially I was very excited for Team Heretics, seeing a lot of the other moves that people have made, it puts them low for me. Even though I think that they've got, like, I think Woot has the potential to be insane, Miniboo the same. I don't know if they're going to be able to compete with everybody else next year. So I think that there's a lot to be desired. I would say as well, there's the same for a lot of the Pacific and Americas teams. It's like, will that, like, I think we could look at Leviatana and say, like, okay, they're probably going to do a lot of damage next year. If NRG make the moves we think they will, same again, like, it
Mhm.
looks good. Loud will be really interesting. As said, Sadak could make his name as the GOAT. So I don't know. I think a lot still to be found out, and I believe we're going to dive into that a little bit more in our next podcast, because this was a little bit more of a look back with a few mentions of what we're expecting for next year.
Yeah, man, I like it is going to be a hot year, 2024, because we came in at 23. Like I said,
Global warming.
that too. We said that, we didn't know what to expect. Our first couple games left a lot of us in a position where we're like, I don't know if EMEA is going to challenge. And I think even to some extent that was true outside of like our number one team. There were some fall offs. There were some inconsistencies. I mean, look at Liquid on the international stage as well. Like there were a lot of problems there, especially early on within the scene. But I guess that's to be expected
Mm.
moving into franchise as well, where, just the very nature of how a lot of those rosters are formed and the fact that it's not natural formation over time, you're really interrupting the scene at that point. But now we're starting to see things level out. We're starting to see teams make those micro adjustments. And I do think that this could be the year that it's not just the number one team in EMEA picking up trophies, that we actually have a bit of competition.
Well, let's hope so. Either way, we're going to go into that in our next podcast, probably the first one of the new year. For now, I hope you guys at home have had a great 2023. I hope you enjoy your Christmas, holiday celebrations, whatever it is that you are celebrating over the next few weeks, New Year, maybe. But either way, from us and from Double Peak, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.